श्री महागणाधिपतये नमः, श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः, सभाये नमः। श्री రఘునందనరావు గారికి, మాధవ్ గారికి, ఇక్కడ వచ్చేసిన మిత్రులందరికీ నా నమస్కారం. You guys are okay in English or Telugu? What do you prefer? English? Okay. Namaste to all of you. Can you say namaste? I think at the outset I will take a couple of minutes to introduce Pragya Bharati before I go into this topic. Pragya Bharati is a nationalistic thinkers forum. This is created to instill nationalism among intellectuals. You see a lot of people who masquerade as intellectuals, but they talk against the country, against our ancient traditions, culture, and history. So, because they are influenced by Western thinking and Western thoughts. So, Pragya Bharati hopes to bring in that nationalism among these intellectuals. Similarly, there are a lot of nationalists, but they may not know the subject. Right? For instance, you take this Citizenship Amendment Act itself, or the repealing of Article 370, or it could be something else, maybe Rafale deal. They know that probably the government is doing right. They know probably Modi is not corruptible. Yet, they do not know the subject. So what does Pragya Bharati do? It gives content and intellect to such nationalists. Right? Like what he has already during the introduction he said, we run an English magazine by name Bharatiya Pragya. It's a monthly magazine. I encourage all of you to kindly subscribe to that. This produces quality content which enhances the greatness, grandeur and glory of Bharat. We focus on that. Press, and as you know, it's all negative. Anything that happens, a glass is broken on a bus, that comes as a headline. Whereas maybe some of our institutions have produced some brilliant brains that never comes as a news item, right? Negative news only is news. So Bharatiya Pragya focuses on positive Indian cultural news. I request all of you to kindly subscribe to that. Now let's come to the day's topic. Citizenship Amendment Act was, as you all know, it was a bill and then it was passed in the parliament and now it is a law. Let's start off by eliminating what it is not about. Citizenship Amendment Act or CAA is not NRC. Let us start with that. There is nothing to do with NRC or CAA. You see all these agitations that are going on, they are talking about NRC, which does not exist today. There is no NRC. It has not even come to the table of the cabinet. There is no NRC. All the protests, whatever questions the opposition is raising, all of them are referring to NRC. So first point, CAA is not NRC. Let us understand that clearly. Second, is it against the minorities in India? More specifically, is it against the Muslims of India? Again, the answer is an emphatic no. This has nothing to do with Indians. Forget about Muslims. It has nothing to do with Indians. Citizenship Amendment Act does not apply or impact even a single Indian citizen. Let's be very clear. Right? Now we have eliminated what it is not. Now what is it? It is an act that has been brought in to fast track, I am repeating, to fast track the citizenship of religiously persecuted minorities of Islamic states which are in our neighborhood. Did I get it clear? I am repeating it again. This is an act to fast track the citizenship of religiously persecuted minorities of our Islamic neighbors. That's all it is meant for. And there is a cutoff date, 31st December 2014. Whoever has come before that date only are eligible to apply. They don't automatically become citizens, they can apply. Now, let's go back a little bit and see in the history. We have now worked out what CAA is not and what CAA is about, right? We made a basic statement. Now, what was the need for this particular act? Let's look at the historical perspective. As you are all aware, India was partitioned on religious lines. So Muhammad Ali Jinnah brought up a theory, what he called as two-nation theory. He said Muslims and Hindus are not one nation. They are two different nations. So Muslims cannot live with Hindus, we need a separate state. This is Muhammad Ali Jinnah's statement. Fine, I mean, he can make whatever statement it is, but ultimately somebody has to accept it, right? And who accepted it? It was the leaders on the other side of the divide, which is the Congress leaders, accepted this. That means, what did they accept? They accepted a theory that Hindus and Muslims cannot be a single state. Are you understanding what it is? It's just not Jinnah. It is the acceptance by the Congress leaders that Hindus and Muslims, yes, as Jinnah said, yes, these two people are not a single country. They have to be different countries. That statement is accepted by the Congress people, Congress leaders. That is how partition has been agreed upon. That means, tacitly, you have actually said that India is a Hindu state. Later, you said we are a secular state. Minorities cannot, they have full right in the country. You know, the great Bharat Ratna, great Ambedkar ji, when he spoke about partition, he very clearly said, I don't like partition. But if you want to partition, exchange the populations. All the Hindus from Pakistan, let them come to India. All the Muslims from India, let them go to Pakistan. This is what Ambedkar said. Today, some political parties are, talking about Ambedkar saving constitution. It is the father of the constitution who said this. Now, do we really want to expel Muslims? Absolutely not. They are part of us. They are our citizens. They are our brothers, right? So, when we say that India is a secular country, we do not believe that Muslims and Hindus are two separate nations. Why the hell did we give Pakistan first? There was no need for giving Pakistan. That means we are confused. The Indian government and Indian leadership is confused. But Pakistan is not confused. Pakistan is very clear. They very clearly said Muslims cannot be in a country where Hindus are a majority. So we need a separate country. So what they have done, in their constitution, they have put a clause where they said we are an Islamic country. It is the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. What do you mean by Islamic Republic of Pakistan? That means a non-Muslim does not have equal rights in that country. Look at India. We had Muslim presidents, we had Muslim chief ministers, we had Muslim leaders of opposition, Supreme Court judges, army chiefs. We had any community, any caste, anybody could go to any height in this country. Who knows, tomorrow if there is a majority, you can have a Muslim prime minister also. Nothing prevents legally from constitutional point of view in this country that we discriminate against any particular religion. Whereas after Pakistan was formed, they discriminated against non-Muslims. At that time, when the partition happened, Pakistan was split into two parts. It was called East Pakistan and then West Pakistan. East Pakistan, as you all know, today it has become Bangladesh. But originally it was East Pakistan and West Pakistan. So during the partition, a lot of population exchange happened. People moved from one country to others. In large sections of Hindus moved into India, large sections of Muslims moved into Pakistan. So it happened both ways. A lot of bloodshed happened, a lot of people were killed. After all this is over, in 1951, remember 1947 we got independence, and in 1951, when national census was taken, Pakistan had 23% minorities. 23% minorities. And if you cut the story short, today there are only 3% minorities. What happened to this 20%? Did they disappear to thin air? 20% minorities in 1951. In 2011 there is 3%. 20%, what did happen? What happened to them? Either they were killed, or they migrated, they got out of the country, or they converted to Islam. This is what has happened. Large sections of minorities were targeted and they were not given a peaceful existence in the country, as a result of which the minority population has more or less disappeared. And the biggest minority in Pakistan are Christians, not Hindus. This is the state of affairs in that country. Now, while the migration was happening, the Pakistani government did not allow some weaker sections of the Hindu society, which we call as Dalits. Actually, I don't like the word Dalit, but let's for argument's sake use that word. People belonging to such communities which fall under the lowest category were prevented from crossing the border. They were stopped inside Pakistan. Why did they do that? The explanation given by Liaquat Ali Khan, the Prime Minister, was, if I let go these Dalits into India, who will sweep my Karachi roads? So he wants these people as his servants. So even now, the advertisements that go out for recruiting sweepers is non-Muslims only eligible. Who are the non-Muslims? At that time it was Hindus only, largely. So this is the amount of oppression these people had undergone. You are all young, you have not seen it, but 30-40 years back, we still had manual scavenging. We did not have the toilets like what you flush it down now. It is not. Somebody used to physically collect the fecus. Just imagine what a pathetic life such a person would be having. Manual scavenging. These people were doing manual scavenging, and manual scavenging was only meant for the Hindu sects, Buddhist Jains of Pakistan. Then, a couple of decades, 2-3 decades back, they introduced a law called the blasphemy law. What is a blasphemy law? If you do anything against their official religion, which is Islam, then you can be hanged, you can be killed. Under this law, they persecuted the minorities so horribly. Now you see these downtrodden people, they do not have any education, they are illiterate. So there were cases where the child was playing, there were some papers, stone pieces around, so he just put all of them together and burned them. It is written in Urdu, Urdu script. He can't even read, he does not know what it is. Suddenly some guy picked up a small shred and said, this is a Quranic verse. This guy is burning the Quran. So he has done a blasphemy. Before the police could act, the family was dumped into a brick kiln and burned alive. This is the kind of nonsense that is going on there. Okay, Hindus, okay, they hate the Hindus. What about Christians? Now, there is a typical case of one Christian lady. She was sitting with her Muslim women folk. She took up a glass from them and drank it. That's the only crime she did. How dare she, takes a glass which is supposed to be used only by Muslims. Having done that, she was, arrested under this blasphemy law. From lower court till high court, she was awarded death sentence. Supreme Court also awarded death sentence for her. Then she went and applied for clemency to the president. Who has the guts to give up clemency? Because you are going against Islam. People will be shot. Chief Minister of Punjab, who said blasphemy law has to be diluted, was killed by his own security guard, and his security guard is considered to be a champion of Islam today in Pakistan. So no rational, secular thought can ever exist in Pakistan. This is the situation, and that lady finally, when she was released by Supreme Court under some dubious, situation, finally, probably there's an American pressure, finally they released her, but she could not go out of the jail itself. The entire area around the jail was, captured by these fellows, jihadis, and they wanted to kill her the moment she comes out. With a lot of difficulty, she was moved out from there, and she's now living in Canada. Imagine this is the plight of minorities in Pakistan. You know the latest issue of Danish Canaria, You must have followed. He's a spinner. He was responsible for Pakistan winning a series in England. And his own teammates would not sit with him and dine with him because he's a Hindu, he's a kafir. Whereas here, we stand in queues, buses, theatres. We do not know who the next guy is. He's a Dalit, he's a Brahmin, he's a Reddy, Kamma, he's Muslim, Sikh, Christian. I don't care. He's an Indian. That kind of an untouchability simply doesn't exist in our society. Whereas Pakistan has it. In spite of it, this 1.5 to 1.8%, 1.6% Hindus, who are largely 80-85% coming from the downtrodden Dalit community, they did not convert to Islam. They remained to stay as Hindus in spite of all these atrocities for more than 70 years. Then what happened? They started targeting their children. They started kidnapping their young girls of the age of 12, 13, 14, forcefully converted and married off to very senior elderly Muslims as second or third wives. And the girl is never again seen by the family. What will happen to society when you do not have girl child? You do not get a Hindu girl to marry. So what happened to the Hindu society? Ultimately that will collapse. So that is the situation that they have brought the Hindu society in Pakistan to. So there is one typical case where one girl child stood up and said, I was forced converted, I was forcefully married off to so and so. I want to go back to my religion, I want to go back to my parents. Her case went from lower court to high court to Pakistani Supreme Court. I don't know how many of you followed, there is a Supreme Court Chief Justice, former Chief Justice by name Iftikhar Muhammad Chowdhury. He is considered to be the champion of democracy because he was the one who ensured that Musharraf lost his power. Musharraf had dismissed this man as the Chief Justice. So entire legal fraternity, lawyers, everybody took to the streets, they did dharnas, big rallies, after which Musharraf was forced to step down. And Iftikhar Chowdhury was reinstated. The entire world hated him, including our liberal press media in India. They said he is the best example of democracy, democratic values. And now, this Muhammad Iftikhar Chowdhury gives a judgment in this girl's case that once you convert to Islam, you cannot reconvert back. So you cannot go back to Hindus. This is the judgment of the most liberal, democratic, great champion, Muhammad Iftikhar Chowdhury. Can you imagine any justice that will happen to these minorities in Pakistan? So the family started coming into India. Now how do they come? They do not cross over like in Bangladesh. Bangladesh border is very porous for us. They can just get into a wooden raft and the river flows into India, they come into India. It doesn't happen on the Pakistani border. Pakistani border is completely sealed. Anybody trying to cross either will be killed by the Pakistani Rangers or by our BSF. Crossing Indian border is next to impossible. But then how do these people come? They come officially. They take Indian visa and come. Indian visa is issued for 6 months to 1 year at best. So they come into India with their families with nothing more than their own clothes. Torn clothes, trying to save the rest of the children. If they have 3-4 girls, one girl is kidnapped, rest of the 3 girls they bring along and try to enter India. And because of the tension between these two countries, there is only one embassy in Islamabad and one in Karachi. So just imagine if you have to travel so long a distance to go to these cities to get your visa, and that you have to stand in long queues. There is a quota that each country gives. So it's not easy for them to get a visa. It's very expensive. And then they have to buy a ticket by the train or bus to come cross over into India. So Munnabaur to Pokhara, so you have to travel. Or from Atari to Amritsar, you have to travel. It costs. They don't have money. Still they come. And they live in Rajasthan deserts. The moment they come, they hand over the passport to the police or the district magistrate and say, I am a Pakistani Hindu. I am a Pakistani Sikh. I do not want to go back. If I go back, I cannot survive there. They officially accept that they are Pakistanis. They accept that they are Pakistani minorities and they want Indian support. This is what they do. Now, problem is, look where they live. They live in Rajasthan. Thar Desert, as you know, the heat can go up to 54 degrees Celsius. Heavy dust storms, blistering heat. These people live in tents. There is no sanitation, there is no water, there is nothing for them. And the moment their visa expires, technically, legally, they become illegal immigrants in this country. The Indian law is very clear. If you are an illegal immigrant, you have to be arrested and put behind bars. But then, if they are put behind bars and deported back, you know what their fate is. So what did the previous governments do? Previous Congress government itself passed administrative rule where they said these people will be given long-term residence permits. That means, yes, we understand your visa has expired, you became an illegal immigrant, we will not arrest you, we will treat you as a long-term resident in India, we will give you a long-term certificate till your citizenship decision is made. That is what even the previous Congress government did. Because you have to be sympathetic to these people. The Citizenship Act in India expects that you stay in India for at least 12 years in the last 14 years to be eligible to apply for Indian citizenship. We are all Indians, so we are happy. Somebody wants to become an Indian citizen, just imagine the pain they have to undergo. They have to live in India for at least all of the last 14 years to apply. And application earlier was only to be done in Delhi, nowhere else. And the fees was 10,000 rupees. Somebody who does not have money to buy his own clothes, he does not have money to build his house, look at the fate of these people. How do you expect them to pay 10,000 rupees? And that to travel all the way up to Delhi, go apply. And even after you apply, it takes 3-4 years, God knows. The bureaucracy, you have to bribe a lot of people, it takes a hell of a problem. So after the Modi government came, they made administrative changes. What did they do? They, first of all, they said 3-4 district magistrates in Rajasthan are entitled to process their citizenship demands. The border areas like Bikaner, Barmar, Jodhpur and Jaipur. There are 4-5 places where they said you are authorized to process there. That means they don't need to go to Delhi. Just imagine what comfort I have. I am seeking Indian citizenship or Indian asylum. I am in Rajasthan. I don't need to travel up to Delhi. I can apply in Bikaner collectorate. That was the first change that was done. In this act, after this act, Citizenship Amendment Act, what does this do? It says that there are lots of cases filed against these people as illegal immigrants earlier because they overstayed, they didn't have proper documents, or whatever. So now this act says all those cases will be withdrawn. We will not treat you like a criminal in this country. We will honor you. That is the first thing this Citizenship Amendment Act does do. And what does it do? Instead of 10,000 rupees, the fees is being brought down to 100 rupees. Just imagine the relief of this family, which has nothing in their command. If you are not a citizen, you are not entitled to school education. Your children cannot get admission anywhere. You cannot go to a government hospital and get treated. You do not have the right to buy property. I cannot buy Gai, Bakri. If I want to buy, somebody will come and say, "Tu bhagoda hai. You came from Pakistan, so I am going to seize your cattle." They don't have any rights in this country. They are just allowed to stay. Now, this act, what does it do? It gives them dignity. And gives dignity to who? Largely, they are the downtrodden sections of the Hindu society, whom we call as Dalits. Those are the people who are getting benefited by this act. As I said before, this does not apply to a single Indian. This applies to only 3 Islamic countries who declare themselves as Islamic countries. Right? This is the perspective that we should be clear about. Now, the Citizenship Amendment Act, as I said, has nothing to do with NRC. Now, will this legally have a bearing on any state government? We find a lot of state governments making statements that we will not implement CAA. And the Kerala government even passed a resolution condemning CAA. Let's understand that citizenship is a central subject. If some of you have read law, in our constitution we have 3 sections. One section is called Union List, which is a central government only will handle it. Second is a state list. only is the exclusive right of state to pass laws on that. And there is a third list called concurrent list, where either center or state can pass it. Citizenship falls under union list. So state has no role to play. Who to be given citizenship and whom not to be given citizenship is a prerogative of the central government and not the state governments. What can the state government do? Of course, at the implementation level, the local collector or somebody has to give the citizenship certificate to the person who is applied for it. Now, suppose a state government forcefully refuses that this collector will not go meet them, does not process or delays it. Central government has the power to dismiss the chief secretary of the state. Still, if they do not listen to it, they can dismiss the government itself, state government itself, because they are going against the law. They have sworn that we will uphold the Indian Constitution. Now, if they do not follow the Indian Constitution, which is passed by the Parliament, signed by the President, Government of India has the right to dismiss that particular government. To avoid all these things, what is Government of India doing now? They have shifted this entire thing to online registration. So you don't even need to go to the local. Mind you, as I said, they can only apply. Whether these people who came before that election. Mind you, as I said, they can only apply. Whether these people who came before 31st December 2014 will automatically get citizenship? No. They have to apply. And our security agencies will still screen them. Probably somebody has come in the garb of immigrant as somebody who's been atrocities done on them. Somebody has come here, but probably they're agents of ISI. Or probably they have criminal record in Pakistan, they're escaping from that and coming in here. Right? So for those people, to avoid such elements becoming citizens of this country, granting of citizenship is not automatic. Unless the security agency is cleared, they will not get the citizenship. Again, what did I say? This act is only fast tracking their citizenship. It is not giving an automatic citizenship. Now, is it against Muslims? I said no. Adnan Sami got citizenship. Right? Hasina Bain, there is one lady from Gujarat who got a citizenship on December 18th. So, Muslims can continue to claim citizenship as much as Hindus who came after 1st January 2015. Suppose a Hindu comes from Pakistan or Bangladesh or Afghanistan after January 15th. He or a Muslim will both be on the equal footing. They have to still apply, they have to wait for 12 years, they have to pay 10,000 rupees. The process, nothing has changed for any of them. Right? 560 and odd Muslims were given citizenship in the last 6 years of this NDA government. So definitely it is not against Muslims. It is not about Muslims or Hindus or a particular religion, but this law is giving citizenship to the persecuted minorities in those countries. There is an argument that Shias and other minorities in Pakistan are also persecuted. Please understand, sectarian differences is different between religious differences. Religiously, persecution is different. Under Muslims, they are all Muslims. Now, Shias and Sunnis have been fighting for centuries now. That is not the purport of this particular law. Similarly, here also we have Shaivites, Vaishnavites, they have many differences. Buddhists and Hindus have some differences. Maybe Sikhs and some other communities have differences. That is an internal affair of Hindus. Supreme Court is very clear. Hindus, Buddhists, Sikhs, Jains are all Hindus. Simple, end of story. Different sects of Hinduism. We can have differences among ourselves. Somebody believes in Vigraha Radhana, somebody does not believe in Vigraha Radhana. Fair enough. Sikhs go for Kitab, they worship Guru Granth Sahib. Somebody else worships a Nirguna Parabrahma. It doesn't matter, it's internal differences. Similarly, in Islam, whatever internal differences are there, you sort it out. Another point is, not a single Muslim has come to India as a religiously persecuted person. They came here for economic benefit. India is now almost $2.5 trillion economy. It's going to be $5 trillion economy. The parity between India and our neighbors, be it Bangladesh or Pakistan, is huge. We are almost 10 times the economies of these two countries. So for job opportunities, people are coming into this country. So who do they affect? They affect you. It is youth of this country who will be denied jobs. Because let us say at campus placement you get 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, whatever you get. These guys will come and work for 5,000 rupees. So what will happen? It is the young generation in this country who will be denied opportunity by these illegal immigrants. Right? So this act is very clear. It is only focusing on persecuted religious minority, not economically disturbed minority. No, it is not. So I think I have put a perspective in place. There is a lot of politicization that has happened. As we all know, some state governments, some leaders, political leaders have spoken about against it. So many nonsense has happened. I will not produce papers. What will you do? Am I not a citizen? All this nonsense has happened. It's all about NRC. It has nothing to do with CAA. Raghunath Rauji will anyway talk about how this has been politicized, how political parties are vultures feeding on the fears and discomfort of sections of our community. We have more than 500 universities in this country. Hardly 4 to 5 universities are disturbed, are making all these noises. They get the prime time English TV coverage. But if you go back to vernacular TV, be it Hindi or Gujarati or Marathi, they are largely nationalistic in their approach. So do not assume what you see on the face of a TV as ultimate. I have been on TV several times, I debated many times. They come with a certain agenda, they know off record, off mic, they say we are right, yet they will come and talk nonsense on the TV. So do not get carried away by all that rhetoric. Understand the right perspective, what this act was intended to do. As a civilization, we have a duty, an obligation to assuage the pain of these people. They are part of us. Now, the argument why not give it to the persecuted Muslims also? If we have to give it to the Muslims, then why did we give Pakistan? There was no need to give Pakistan. Well, you surrender back Pakistani territory, we'll give citizenship to all the Muslims there. No problem. After all, they were our brothers in 1947, right? Before 1947. We will take them back, we have no problem. But if you want Pakistan, if you want to keep that land, but you don't want people from your own country to live there peacefully, Mohajirs are targeted, Baluchis are targeted, Sindhis are targeted, Pashtuns are targeted, Khojas are targeted, Boras are targeted, Ahmadiyas are targeted. Who are you left with? Just Punjabi Sunnis, nobody else. Others are not Muslims. So if that is the case, then why do you have Pakistan itself? You said it's a Pakistan. Pak is pure. It's a land of pure for Islam. So what have you done? If your Muslims also want to come and stay in India, then you don't deserve to exist. So please, my friends, understand that this act is trying to rectify the mistakes that were done during the partition. If you see the last few actions taken by this government, including Article 370, we are trying to rectify historical mistakes. As a nation, we are used to status quo. Telugulo samadhundi, ekkade esira pongali akkade. We don't want to make any change. Good or bad, we don't want. We are happy this way. Just let's continue. But this cannot go on. Article 370 was a temporary provision. It had to go. Jawaharlal Nehru himself diluted it. When Article 370 was there was a Prime Minister in Jammu and Kashmir. India had 2 Prime Ministers. There was Prime Minister of India, there was a Prime Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. Under Article 370, Jawaharlal Nehru himself diluted it and made them Chief Minister. Now, Narendra Modi government has removed that article, removed that special status altogether. Such historical blunders we have to correct. We cannot leave it for generations to go and allow these problems to fester. Right? So please see it in that perspective and see the politicization. While the politicization, Rao Garu is going to talk, I just say one word in that. You see small kids, 6-year, 7-year-old, unpad Gawar kids holding English placards. Why are they not putting it in Urdu? Why are they putting it in English? So their audience is different. So their audience is English speaking, confused Bharatiyas, confused liberals of the world. So this gets resonation in New York Times, in Washington Post, in all the Le Monde, you name it, all the international press covers them because it is in English. BBC headline says, India's anti-Muslim law is being resented by Muslims. Is this anti-Muslim? This has nothing to do with a single Indian, forget about Muslims. But look at the narrative that gets built up. Right? So please understand that there is a vicious campaign going on to discredit India. And who benefits from this? If you discredit India, your 5 trillion dream will go for a toss. Then you will continue to keep buying your Chinese products. You will continue to be slaves of the West. You do not emerge as a superpower yourself. Friends, you are youngsters. Don't think just by getting a degree you are all done with your life. No. If you as an Indian go with an Indian passport, right, you could have an MBA degree with you, and there's another Pakistani with an equal MBA comes to the immigration counter. Which passport is respected? Indian passport. I had worked in the Gulf. I had an engineer from Lahore Engineering College. Brilliant guy. Right? He was working for me in the ERP team. He was reporting into me. 3 of us had to go to Kuwait. 2 of us Indians, Kafirs, we applied. We got the visa within 24 hours. This brilliant engineer was told, you get a police clearance from Lahore, then you need a police clearance from Abu Dhabi, then the police in Kuwait will clear you. It will take you 15 days to get your visa. So you or your value will depend on the passport you hold. And the passport will show the culture. It shows your value, your branding in the world. And your branding has enhanced significantly in the last 5-6 years. Today you are respected, while you are not going to be strip searched the way green card holder is going to be done. If you have to value that, you better know your country. You better know what is happening. You better know the forces that are trying to vitiate this growth story of India. If you are disconnected, if you think my job is to learn my subjects, I get my certificate, don't become a certificate manufacturing industry. Don't become just a certificate. Be an Indian. Thank you.